Hi there, I'm Kathryn Given, Senior Style and Market Editor at Luxe Interiors and Design. Welcome to the new Statement Bathroom Takeover. Today, we are getting an exclusive look at the recently launched Anne Sachs Curated Bath Collection, which is a truly stunning assortment for the bath that brings together for the first time, very exciting, Anne Sachs, Robern, Kallista and Kohler lighting. It's so great to have everything in one place, right? I feel like it's really gonna change the way people shop and buy. And here to talk to us a little bit more about the collection and give us some background is Seth Stevens, the Chief Designer for Kohler Luxury Space, as well as Arabella Doyley, Marketing Director for Anne Sachs. Welcome to you guys.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. So, Seth, I'm kind of hoping you can kick it off for us and just, introduce us to the Anne Sachs Curated Bath Collection. Tell us about the concept.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having us today. Really excited to talk about this extraordinary event that's taking place. So 130 years of combined experience between Kallista, Anne Sachs, Robern, and Kohler lighting. So really incredible that we're bringing to the table today 7 curated bathroom solutions that include everything from vanities, mirrors, lighting, and surfaces to the table and to our consumers today. It's pretty incredible.
So, I kind of a little bit about where you began, because I know there was a lot that went into this. This is a huge undertaking. Again, congratulations to you both, because it's so beautiful. I want to hear about inception, process, how the collection came to be. I know both of you were involved, obviously, from the very beginning. Arabella, you as well, right?
Yeah, no, I was really lucky enough. Normally, obviously, I'm not involved in the whole product production, and I got invited to be there, right? The sort of inception to the brainstorming session that did involve us sort of crawling around, cutting bits out with magazines, and it was a very cross-functional team, which has been absolutely fantastic to see it from like right at the beginning through to now seeing it in the showrooms.
So tell us a little bit more about the process, Seth. Like, you were really working. I mean, it's a huge undertaking to have really these 4 distinct brands kind of come together. It's like a meeting of the minds, right?
Yeah, it was an absolutely massive undertaking, and as mentioned, it was it was extraordinary in that we really did bring, so many team members together across all 4 of the organizations, but not just from a design perspective like Arabella is talking about, but really from all disciplines related to what might come into a product design and development process. That included, well, first and foremost, the data collection piece of it. Really, truly, the inspiration behind these collections were really architects and designers. We, through the corporation and these 4 businesses and brands, have an incredible relationships with the A&D community. And so as a result of that, we've been able to kind of work hand in hand with them in terms of getting information and collecting data and information that really were a lot of the inspiration behind creating these collections. But I think what was cool and unique about this is not obviously, but that all of these brands were coming together for the first time in their combined experiences and making the decision to do so. But additionally, that we were bringing in people from all walks of skill sets and what they were bringing to the table. This included Arabella, thank you so much for joining us, on this process. But maybe, teams that you wouldn't think that would be part of that process from the beginning, like Bella was talking about. Like we're bringing in people from marketing, from our engineering teams, which we typically do, but we're bringing them in at the very beginning of the stage instead of after we had started the conceptual process. We brought in people from our sourcing team. We brought in the business leads. We brought in everyone we could to kind of combine forces and look at how we're going to build these collections from all aspects, in addition to the design aspect.
Arabella, do you also just want to talk a little bit about how this sort of helped, since you were involved from the very beginning, I imagine it was so beneficial in terms of, marketing, right? And understanding the collection.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that was really different is that we really thought of how the customer shops. And so the whole process kind of got sort of not stood on its head, but that's where we started. And so we really thought, well, where in a bathroom would they start, which was the vanity. And from there, we sort of built out. And that's really helped me definitely in the marketing world, because that's how we tell the story. So we start with the vanity and then we actually sort of go into the other sort of looks. And so the whole romance is starting with that central piece. And we know that everything else is sort of in addition to and helps create that atmosphere. So that was really fantastic.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I also love that as a result of this, like everybody got to end up owning a piece of it. And it was from the beginning, right? Like, so everyone felt like they were a partner in this. Everyone could believe in the vision. I mean, another extraordinary piece of this is that even as we had gone through the design and development of this entire product line during the COVID, but also that we were all in different areas of the country. So we were all flying and meeting each other once a month in a central location. I will disclose that it was in a basement mailroom.
Very glamorous.
Yeah, super glamorous. But we made it glamorous. But you know, the fact that like that everybody, and what I was saying is that actually through this process and development process, like changes in leadership had happened, changes in the teams, you know, had happened, and how we functioned together. And the fact that that there was a core group of individuals that was invested from all these different disciplines from the get-go, and the fact that this still could come to life, you know, within approximately the same time frame, and with all these people, I think that part of that process and development made a difference.
Yeah, and it makes it even more impressive, you know. So I know that this is really the first time that, you know, these products, these offerings have been sort of specified in this way. I guess maybe that's the right word, because, you know, there are curated assortments and then you can also mix and match, right? So it really provides so much flexibility. It really helps the designer. But can you talk a little bit about, you know, the way that the offerings are set up?
Actually, I might just jump in a little bit before Seth, because I mean, we definitely were thinking about it from an experience that had to translate to both the showroom, you know, to a brochure, to digital as well. And so we needed to make sure that we could get that across with this idea of mix and match, because we're presenting what we call like a vignette, but none of the pieces are actually sold, you know, together. The only piece that's sold as one piece is the vanity. So everything else is just guidance. This is, you know, so for somebody who comes in and falls in love with it, they can buy the entire piece, from the floor tile to the, you know, the wall tile to the vanity. But for somebody who, you know, they can walk in and they can say, oh my God, I love the Claudette, you know, vanity, but actually I really want the lights from the Rosebrook. And so they can create their own sort of look. So it gives them the flexibility. And sorry, Seth, no.
No. I love that. What you're saying is absolutely perfect. Yeah, I mean, so from the, you know, from the design perspective, we had several goals, but one of those goals was really designed to design against, so that our A&D community and our outreach isn't just one aesthetic. We are known for providing to the A&D community from whatever aesthetic and what their vision is, and playing into that and being a partner in that process. That being said, our A&D community spans a wide depth and breadth of aesthetics. Every aesthetic you could think of, from traditional all the way to the ultra modern, especially if you think about that brands can come to play. For example, Robern, you know, traditionally being a modern brand, you know, would be seen, those architects and designers are really going after a more Bauhaus driven, super sleek, modernist environment. However, we know that across all of our 4 brands, that that aesthetic range is huge. These curated solutions were designed to span the entire depth and breadth of aesthetic information, from traditional through modern. They were also designed, the best way I can describe it is like a Garanimals. Like, the way I see it in my brain is, it's literally like this, where you can take the vanity, the surface, the brassware, like the faucet, the mirror, and the lights, and the entire collection was designed in these curated solutions, which are created to inspire architects and designers, but also created to where they can literally be mix and match across every single, from all the way from our traditional curated solution to the modern, to be able to put together an unlimited options. You know, because we all know also, in working and having an amazing relationship with architects and designers, that they are going to have unlimited ideas about how they want to put their own rooms together. So.
Oh yes, Oh, yes. And I think that's really what resonated with me, just coming from Luxe. We see so many different aesthetics and, we publish a lot of different homes. And I think that this model is just so smart because as you said, you need to be able to reach every type of designer and consumer, right? And this really does that. So Arabella, you touched on this a little bit, but I want to talk about how the consumer and the designer is really buying today because this collection does provide, a digital experience, but you can come into the showrooms and see some of these pieces in person as well, right?
Yeah, so in our new sort of showroom model that we just launched in San Francisco, you can go in and we've got two what we're calling vignette galleries, one in the more sort of traditional sort of look, which is literally down one whole side. And so instead of having more formal plumbing wall that you're sort of used to seeing, we've actually installed them within an actual space. So you're seeing them how they're actually going to work and be sort of interacting with each other. So you've got like, your whole full vanity with your lights, with a shower head and the tile all set up. So you're seeing it in one complete setting. And then on the other side, you've got all the modern vignettes as well. So it's the complete story of the whole collection.
And Seth, was, the digital platform important to you guys too, to really have both of these, offerings?
Absolutely important and crucial. As we've all been through the COVID, I don't think, we don't know how long it's going to last or how it's still continue or what's going to look like in the future. And being able to have that digital presence and be able to look at items and be able to see how they change, in relationship to their finish and what they're paired with online and in a digital format is absolutely crucial. Yes. And then as far as the in-person, purely from a design perspective, so much goes into and what we pride ourselves in the luxury, in luxury and with the luxury consumer has so much to do with attention being in the detail and also, if not more important, quality and craftsmanship. And so as amazing it is to be able to see everything digitally and build and place those items into your designs, it's equally important to be able to go still to, I'm still old school in that I still like, especially important purchases like a vanity, it's something, that's a piece that's like, it's a hero piece in the bathroom. You're not looking to replace that as frequently as a mirror light, let's face it, and for that reason, I still want to be able to go to a showroom, old school and old fashioned and like see it and see how the drawers move and understand how it's been constructed and see that attention or quality to detail that's been placed into the piece. So
I completely agree. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about specific designs and products, but I do want to underscore that there are over 200 new products launching in this collection, which is staggering, is amazing. So I just want to take this opportunity for you guys to maybe touch on a few favorites or, Arabella, you mentioned obviously the vanities and the stone offerings, now, right?
Yeah, I think one thing that is so perfect, as Seth, mentioned, with all the brands coming together, each is bringing their speciality area. And obviously for Anne Sachs, stone is something that we're renowned for, rightfully so. And so our stone tops, the thing that I'm constantly amazed at is like the chunkiness of them. These aren't like little thin slithers. These are really solid, beautiful, chunky stone tops. And like the curve of the detail, the edges are so exquisite. And then with some of the backsplashes, I think for one of the backsplashes, it's 10 inches. And then with this wonderful sort of scalloped edge, it's like really the attention to detail to take it to the next level is really there. And I think for me, obviously, I'm a bit biased because I love stone. These tops, you're always just like, they're just so tactile and delicious. You just can't stop looking at them.
And Seth, I know Kohler lighting in itself is really sort of a newer launch, right? But, here there's even more.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Kohler lighting is a new launch. It was literally launched last year, was I think our first collection. What is incredible about this collection is actually for Anne Sachs is number one, it's exclusive to Anne Sachs. Everything that it's been designed and created and is sold to the Anne Sachs, exclusively through the Anne Sachs channel. But also what we had done is really amped up because it's specific to the A&D community and it's in our luxury space and portfolio of our Kohler lighting line, we've increased, the heft and the weight in the materials and the quality of materials, and looked at everything from how that lighting might be attached to a wall. You're not going to see any screws or pieces or things. Like, everything's been, expertly designed and created specifically to the NSAX platform at a more elevated level of quality.
So I want to take a deep dive into, some of these specific vignettes and these, these very curated collections. I have to say my favorite is Claudette. I, first of all, like that bathtub. Wow. But Seth, do you want to talk to us a little bit about the inspiration for this collection?
Yeah, absolutely. As we went through the process of creating all of these curated assortments, we had working names. The working name behind this one was actually Hollywood Glamour, and really the inspiration behind it was that, like, 1950s, 1960s Marilyn Monroe, Hollywood-esque, but really looking at that super classic Hollywood starlet, and what might have existed in her home, at the time, as like as a glamorous, amazing, moving star. And what we did was really look at that aesthetic and then figure out what that would look like, or how that could be translated to a little bit more modern format or today. And that's where you get like that repetition of those beautiful curved forms. The bathtub is something that has gotten a ton of attention, rightly so.
Yeah.
It was a huge feat from our team to put together. And that was actually a really awesome example of all of our teams coming together. I mean, different from what other people might be creating from a stone tub like that. That's where we could leverage Kohler's engineering and analytics team in terms of human factors. And really that's been incorporated into that tub, for example.
Arabella, I know we talked about that bathtub too, but do you have some favorite designs in this vignette?
I have to say, I mean, Claudette for me is just so stunning. And I mean, we've seen, with our we've got the fluted collection within our Terrazzo Renata. So fluted for us, we know, is huge. And just seeing how it's carried through from the vanities to the tub, I absolutely love it. And offset also with the storage that this one comes with, I think is so lovely because it's so classical and it's got the straight, hard edges, which against the softness of the fluted is this perfect sort of juxtaposition, which I absolutely love. The thing that's really unusual though about the Claudette, it actually comes in 4 stones. And so in San Francisco, we've got it in Carrera. And it looks totally different. It's like a totally different vanity just by having the different stone. It gives it a very different character, as does the size. So instead of this sort of grandeur, it's much more of an intimate moment. And that's one thing, the different sizes or the stone tops or the finishes give just such different characters to the vanities, which I love.
Another highlight for me is Rosebrook, which I think is so charming and it's quite feminine to me as well. Do you want to talk to us, Seth, about some of the details here?
Yes, absolutely. So the working name for Rosebrook was actually our Parisian theme. So it was really based on that grandeur of classic Parisian architecture, and it really brought into form like those beautiful curved forms that were celebrated, back to like Louis XIV, for example. I think also really important, or some of the most, for that, it's really the attention to detail for me. That beautiful metal trim detail, that is literally integrated into the cabinet doors and drawers surfaces. So the level of detail and engineering that went into actually making that possible, I think, is really incredible in that piece. And then also with the curved doors, how all of that veneer has been applied on the bias. Some of those details I think are what make it really gorgeous and important. I think strike that balance between things being unique enough to understand what the work that's gone into them, but also be able to be used still in several different aesthetics and formats.
Yeah, that's a great point. That how versatile it still is. Arabella, do you have any favorite pieces here?
I actually love how the Mia stone, which is how we shot the piece, it sort of works with the vanity. It's like the Mia stone is one of my favorite stones, and I just think it is the perfect complement to each other. So whilst obviously they're not sold together, I actually love that whole look. And then with the Versailles glass as well, it really sort of has a moment and brings all the surfaces together, which for me is just really standout. Also, the lighting, I have to say, in this vignette is really exquisite. It just has a subtlety that's just beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah. So Wendell, I feel like we have to shift gears a little bit because this feels quite different to me. Just sort of that, some of the warm wood, right? It's just so amazing how you guys really hit these different aesthetics, like right on the nose. Seth, tell us a little bit about Wendell. To me, it has a bit of this like mid-century vibe, right?
Yes, absolutely. We're so excited about this item. You know, we've seen so much happening from a trend perspective with mid-century and the mid-century influence, and we really wanted to create an offering, you know, to the A&D community that would represent this. But what I love about Wendell is it really also pairs beautifully with so many of the design collections that we've been working on recently with Ansex. Everything from the Barberberry Radius collection to the Terrazzo collections that we actually introed, 2017 actually, and how we've been building on those ever since. So yeah, I think for that collection, we're really excited to launch so that it fills everybody's mid-century itch.
Yeah, I have to say, Terrazzo is not going away either. I still am just gaga over it. And you guys keep like, you know, pushing the ante on the offerings. Arabella, what about you? Are you drawn to sort of the wood vanity as well?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I love it. I mean, I love them all, but I love this one. The smaller size again is
Yeah.
it has. I saw the smaller size, and I think it's actually our first vanity that we've sold already.
Wow.
And it has a different look that I kind of, if I had to choose, I might go for the smaller size. But I really love the gap. There's this lovely moment of where the legs and the top of the bottom of the vanity meet, but there's a gap. And it's sort of, you know, attention to detail of that sort of moment I really love.
I'm moving on. I want to look at Alisale, which is a really beautiful design as well. Arabella and Seth, tell us a little bit about this one.
So this one was very much inspired by California living. So it's got that very sort of laid back West Coast sort of chic look to it. And it's been paired with the Savoy Intro, which is a hand printed tile, which gives it, again, that sort of organic nature, which I absolutely love. The thing about the Alisale that's so unusual is actually the drawer detail. It's this sort of accordion style drawer, which has a cutout, and then the back plate is actually metal, got a metal finish, which just, you know, has like that unexpected quality, which I absolutely love.
Seth, what do you love about this collection? Oh man, so you know this one in its working stages was called California Modern. So
there you go.
You know, so the original inspiration was really this like easy breezy, beautiful, like coastal inspired, you know, look and feel. And I really love what Bella had mentioned in regards to the accordion that's happening on the front of the drawer fronts. I don't know through photography and stuff if you can end up seeing it that well. Additionally, what's happening, and that might not always translate perfectly in photography, is that it actually has this beautiful metal detailing that also is where you place the fingers in when you're opening the drawer. That was created for a couple of different reasons, but first and foremost, you know, to create again that nice little beautiful detail. And nuance, but also from a practicality and usability perspective, you know, it actually will allow that wood to not weather in that area and provides protection and actually a nice place to place your hand when opening the drawer. And then also, I think the sleigh leg that's happening in front in the metal and its proportions, and that was really a feat of engineering because the goal was to try to make that as slimlined and simplified as possible, but still create the support needed for that piece.
I have to say, just the photography is beautiful. You know, I'm on a lot of shoots, and the way you sort of presented these and, you know, got these images is spectacular. And I know that the bathroom is not easy. It's not an easy place to photograph.
It's not. I'm so glad you called that out. Yeah. And that was, thank you, Bella, because that was, that was Yeah, that was a mission of love.
Yeah, it was a labor of love, definitely. And getting the right, for us, it was definitely having the right lighting to create, to really evoke those emotions. I mean, your bathroom is your personal space. It's where you go to sort of recenter yourself. And to have, I was like, we can't have harsh lighting. This is a sanctuary. It has to have that softness, but still, be able to really see the color. So we definitely, I think, went above and beyond to achieve it.
Yeah, thanks for that call out. That actually means a lot, because if you're seeing that and recognizing it, it means we did a good job.
Yeah.
So I do want to touch on that, Bella, though, because I feel like that's an interesting point that, during this time, people are really making these spaces, the bathrooms, they're sanctuaries, right? They're really investing a lot of money, a lot of time, and they really are using it as a respite. Are you finding that sort of with, the designers and your customers now, that they're really investing in these spaces now more than ever?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen the bathroom really come into its own. I think it's interesting, as ANZAC's really is a whole home sort of provider, but with the bathroom, we see it much more as a personal reflection of them. So in some of the other spaces, it's more of a wow moment, or it's more of a social moment, whereas this is their very much, their personal space. And so we've seen an interesting mix of materials, some, stone is obviously still really strong, but actually color is really coming into some of the bathrooms as well. So some of that dark, moody sort of look is coming into its own. We've seen some really beautiful Zalige bathrooms, so texture as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how it continues to sort of trend next year.
And then Seth, just because, as the design director here, and these vignettes are so, I don't want to use the word trend, because I feel like sometimes that's a dirty word, but they're so design driven. And, as a market editor, I'm always on the hunt for what's next. Can you talk a little bit about your process for sort of honing in on the different aesthetics? Are you getting inspiration from all over? Is this sort of what you've been seeing percolating? I just want to hear a little bit more about, how you're designing.
Oh, yeah, good question. Honestly, from everywhere. I'm at the beach right now, right? So I'm literally getting inspiration from, my husband and I walked on, on the sunset, saw the sunrise this morning. And so inspiration can come from the color. I'm taking photos all the time. Inspiration can come from the colors that I'm seeing that are created in nature. From any of the patterning that's happening. I literally took a ton of photos to send to the team of shells this morning in texture.
Wow. Okay.
So everywhere I go, I'm finding something that speaks to my heart or my soul, and sending it off to the team. I think a lot can get generated from almost anything, and I think being generated from something in nature is really important right now, and we're seeing that from a trend perspective, and I don't see that go away. And I think it's natural, because we've all been kept, many of us have been kept inside for so long. Being outdoors and understanding the importance of nature and being out to our wellness and to our peace of mind is going to continue to be really important as we design and develop for our consumers as we move forward, because I think they're going to want to also have those pieces of, like Bella had mentioned, the bathroom being a place of respite and of rest and of relaxation and of calm and of regrouping ourselves and being the best of ourselves we can be for our colleagues, for our family. And I think the bathroom is and I think it's going to continue to be so, even as we walk and hopefully come out of COVID together. And that feeling of calm and of peace and of a self is going to be reflected in everything we design moving forward.
I love that. And I agree. And I think this, the ANZAC's Curated Bath Collection is just sort of exemplifies all that you're seeing. And it sort of, I don't know, it takes all of these trends and what's happening in the world and kind of dilutes it into these really beautiful schemes. So bravo, because I feel like that, I know this was a big undertaking. And I want to thank you guys both, for taking the time to chat with me and walk us through this beautiful collection. Again, congratulations. It turned out beautifully. And, I certainly can't wait to play around online and hopefully, come into the showroom and see some of these designs in person. So thank you both.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. We adore you.
Yeah.
And thank you for the time today. We're so grateful.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Shannon Sharpe, Homes Editor with Luxe Interiors and Design. Welcome to the DesignTV New Statement Bathroom Takeover. And I am so excited to talk today to Nicholas Moriarty, who's known for incorporating depth, texture, and warmth into his work, and Seth Stevens, who is the chief designer of Kohler Luxury Spaces. Seth comes from a diverse background in product design, interiors, and fashion. Welcome to you both.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hi. As I said, I'm so excited to talk to you guys today, and we're going to talk about the Robern Craft Series collection. And Seth, I'd love to start with you, so you can speak to the motivation behind this collection. I know Robern is traditionally known for aluminum and glass, and why did you want to expand your product line?
That's right. Yeah, thanks so much for asking that question. It couldn't be more appropriate as we are on today with Nicholas, who's been an incredible partner with ours. For, what did we decide the other day? It was like 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, it's like 7 or 8 years, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
so,
even longer, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's honestly the need and the desire to really create this program was based off of architects and designers, and first and foremost with those that we have really valued relationships with, including Nicholas. And so really they were the inspiration behind wanting to behind this new collection and about the depth and breadth that it created.
And Nicholas, the craft series is based upon the styles of the 19th and 20th centuries. It's the idea of the handcrafted, and it adds a bit of history to a home. And could you speak to how you incorporate this kind of historical aspect into your designs?
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, thanks for having us. We are long-term lovers of all things Robern, and for us, this is a really exciting opportunity to get to share more about the breadth and extent of what they're doing with all their new product offerings. And I think what's so cool about this collection is that it's really taking honest materials and showcasing them in a really beautiful handcrafted way, which Robern is so well known for with their existing line of product offerings. And that's what was really happening at the turn of the century, right? Is you were really seeing an honest expression of materials through cast iron and metals in all different avenues and interiors. And so for us, it's super important to be able to take those type of notes from history and continue to incorporate them into modern design. So we love it when a product comes out that is a very honest representation of what the material is that's being used. And I think Robern really nailed it with this. And so we love being able to incorporate those type of elements because it does give depth, warmth, personality, and a sense of history to any of our projects, even though we're trying to modernize everything as we go through our projects with our clients.
And, Seth, is this desire for warmth in the home something you've been hearing from a lot of designers you work with?
Yes, absolutely. And that's, the things that Nicholas has talked about have been so relevant and so important to us as we continue to grow the Robern brand. He's not only talking about, the materials themselves, but really that span of aesthetic that our intention was, to start to build off of. We've been known for having more of that modern aesthetic, and the goal of this program is really to start to increase, as we've been talking about, the depth and breadth of those aesthetic ranges, everything from traditional to a more modern mindset. The need and desire for natural materials, I think, is a response to many things. I think one is our response to what's been going on in the world, and the expression of needing to be closer to nature and closer to those things that are most natural to us. And I think that's being mirrored in our spaces in which we're trying to create. And I think now more than ever, people are spending more time specifically in their homes, and even more specifically in their bathrooms, and it being a refuge for them. And I think it's no coincidence that as a result, we're bringing more of those natural materials into play, into the bathroom.
Nick, why do you think clients are wanting such warmth right now?
Yeah, I mean, Seth is totally onto something when he talks about what's happening in the world right now and what we've all gone through in the last 18 months. everybody was forced inside, and so they have to re-examine their interior spaces, and they were kept away from traveling and nature. I mean, parks in Chicago were closed, so everybody really has to adjust to this new lifestyle that God knows how long it's going to go on for. And what you're seeing in our industry is really this return to that natural state, and everybody really wants that brought in. And I think you've seen for a long time the trend of hospitality design really upping the exposure that people have to a lot of different ideas and a lot of different uses of materials, right? And so that's definitely something that's carrying over as well. And so it's natural for a company like Robern to take the modernity that they have and then bring in some of those other elements that are literally going to give people the warm wood tones and metal tones that they're craving, that they want to use to mix things. And we're also just in a state in our industry where I think trends are dying on the luxury side of things. And so you're really seeing people reach out to all of these different eras and all these different materials, and designers, especially at the high end, are looking to reinvent their own aesthetic over and over for their clients to really make it personal. So that's, I think, also a huge driver of it, is everybody is looking for some other way to make their space super custom and super intentional to who they are as people. And the new offering from Robern is really so wonderful in that regard, because it is such an interplay of materials, and it can be mixed and matched, and there's just an infinite amount of possibilities with it.
I'm really glad you mentioned the trend aspect and how those are kind of fading away, because I think one of the most important aspects to the Robern collection is the longevity of it. And in all aspects of design, from fashion to interiors, people have become very interested in quality versus quantity. And Seth, could you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that you mentioned it. Yeah, in terms of quality, Robern has for a long time, and I think maybe in the top 3 of their mission statement, if not the very top item, is quality. And I think we're known for quality, and it was really important in creating this new collection that quality remained front and center, and that alone speaks to longevity. From an aesthetic perspective, in terms of longevity, so much time, attention, and detail was considered in regard to creating a collection that was trend forward, but also classic in the sense that it would have longevity and be able to last the test of time in all of these environments based on the aesthetic changing. The vanity space is one in which, when making an investment in that piece, it's a serious investment, and out of everything else in the bathroom, that's probably going to be the item that doesn't change. So it's important that when we were designing it, which, by the way, we did with Nicholas, where we did a question and answer survey system and got information back and incorporated that into our design and development process. But it's that fine balance between creating something that's beautiful and unique, but also stands the test of time.
And Nicholas, what do you have to add to that? Do you have any kind of additional ideas?
Yeah, totally. I mean, Robern is quality, period, right? And I mean, I think that's one of the things for us in our design work. We've always used Robern for the product line they have because it's the best, period, right? And so it makes sense that it's taken Robern a long time to get to where they are with additional materials, because at the end of the day, they're not going to do it unless they can do it the best, right? And so it really speaks to the intention that comes with all aspects of Robern's product design. And I think that's really important to note, right? This isn't something that they have said, hey, we need to follow this trend of wood or metal or whatever. It's really been an intentional path that they followed, and working with them on the development of this from literally day one of line drawings, right? It has been a clear case study on that, right? That there was a tremendous amount of time and attention and detail and, product line extension thought process put into the entire, collection. And it's really evident. And I think it's one of the things that when you look at their current offering or their past offering of products, right, it's such a timeless collection of materials, right? And in very smart ways have they introduced new materials over time. The gold that was introduced with the profiles collections and matte black and all that kind of thing. And now what you're seeing with the new collections, the woods and the mixed metals and whatnot, it's a really consistent arc of the storyline of the history of that company, of the aesthetic of that company, and of the quality of that company.
My personal favorite in the Robern collection is Bodo. I just think that it kind of captures that farmhouse chic that people are really looking for now. And once again, that kind of farmhouse feel, I think, goes back to people being at home and kind of getting in touch with, everyone's been cooking at home. Everyone's kind of experiencing going back to the past and what people used to do. So I really feel like Bodo reflects that.
Say that Bodo is actually one of our top sellers right now, as well as Sendai and Mackie. So those are really like the top three that are outperforming in the collection. And another really cool thing about Bodo is that it was designed to have this integrated sink solution that Robern has created. And that integrated sink solution actually works with all of our other existing Robern collections.
Seth, what's your personal favorite?
It's actually Sendai is my favorite, and I think that's because it embraces so much of the original architecture that Robern brings to the table from their modern aesthetic, and adds this like beautiful warm touches that we've been talking about in the conversation today. You know, it has these beautiful warm wood options paired with really hand finished metal components, but I feel like it really embraces this where the history and the heritage of where the Robern brand started, but bringing it to a new and different level for today.
Nicholas, what's your favorite?
I mean, the Mackie for sure is my favorite. You know, there's something about that collection that just speaks to so many of the things in design, especially the early part of the 19th century, that I love. It's a nod to kind of the industrialism that was happening during that time. It's definitively a nod in some ways to Deco and the Fordicist movements that were happening in and around the 1930s as well. And so for me, that's just like the truest, most honest expression of material. The perforated metal is a material that I love and that we design with often. And just that combined mixed metal is something that also speaks to our design aesthetic. You know, we have been doing that in our design work for a very, very long time before it became a trend, right? You know, people always ask the question, like, can you mix metals? And I was like, well, it worked for the Incans, the Mayans, the Japanese. Like, I'm like literally like at any point in history, metals have been mixed. So like, yeah, it works, you know, and it's really funny to me. And, you know, now Robern has taken that into their own collection and really done it in a beautiful way. And then Sendai is something that was really exciting for us to work on with the Robern industrial design team, because it's very similar to some of the pieces that we've designed in the past, both credenza wise for dining rooms and things of that nature, and then also for bath cabinetry. So it definitively hit a need in the market for, you know, pieces of furniture that can stand in a bathroom as a vanity, but look like a freestanding piece of furniture and look like something that is as beautiful as something you want to put in your bedroom or in your dining room or your foyer or something like that.
Right. And once again, that, you know, harkens back to that idea, like that makes me think of the 19th and 20th centuries and the way, you know, people, the vanities were such a piece of furniture, right?
Right. Well, literally they were. I mean,
Right.
when you think about it, right, they were beautiful chests of drawers that had, you know, washing bowls and pictures on top of them, right? And so it's funny that we regressed away from that in some ways, and then we've circled back to that. You know, it's the overlap of all of the things, right? Whether it's living spaces inside of bathrooms or bathrooms inside of living spaces or whatever. Like, you know, a tub in a bedroom, it's kind of been happening since the Middle Ages, people. So it's like these are not new concepts, right? But we are bringing them back into the fold and celebrating them in new ways.
I think that you guys, everything we've touched upon is just fascinating. I know that many people in the design community are just as excited about this collection as we are. And once again, I just want to thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you, Nicholas. This has been awesome.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. And thank you for tuning in to this special segment that's a part of the new Statement Bathroom Takeover on DesignTV. My name is Sarah Shelton, and I am the market editor at Luxe Interiors Design. I'm thrilled to be joined today by Erin Lilly, Global Design Manager of the Color, Material, and Finish Studio from Kohler, and superstar interior designer Mikkel Welch. Together, we'll be walking through 3 exciting trends in the kitchen and bath spaces, and also be showing some of the exciting product from Kohler that illustrates those trends. So I suggest grabbing a pen and paper because you will want to take these notes heading into 2022. But hi, Erin and Mikkel, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have you both on and to talk about some of my favorite things, which are design trends. So when we talk about interior trends, we have to remember that those trends do in fact trickle down to faucetry, and that color, material, and finishes, all of those finishing touches bring real distinction to a kitchen or a bathroom. So Erin, how does Kohler track these trends and then deliver on those findings?
Kohler is rigorous in wanting to understand the consumer and their desires before they're even articulated. So one of those aspects in understanding the consumer is our rigorous research and forecasting. So our products are objects of permanence and longevity within the house. So we have the luxury of seeing trends come down the pipeline, but we have this responsibility to make sure that we're picking and manufacturing and producing the right colors, materials, and finishes, because these are products that need to resonate not only in the moment, but throughout the lifespan of your home, through refreshes of interiors and renovations. So we track fashion, art, jewelry, automotive, consumer electronics, and we look at what our interior designers are doing and understanding what they need. And then we take all of that, filter it down, and identify the opportunities of what to bring to market.
Well, the trends that we're going to touch on today, I think definitely have some legs to them and some longevity. So let's jump into the first trend, which I myself have definitely been seeing in the marketplace, and that's the rise of warm colors. I mean, we're seeing brown, taupe, cream, and of course, brass, these colors across all sorts of categories: fabric, wallpaper, furniture, tile. Mikkel, it's not in the distant past that we're all talking about grays and stainless and these cool vibes. From your designer perspective, can you confirm that the needle is in fact moving toward warmer tones, and why you think that is?
Oh my gosh, I feel like if you haven't jumped ahead and jumped on this needle, you're basically missing the point at this point. I think people right now, especially in the times that we're living in, we want things that are warm. We want things that are cozy. And people do want to step outside of the norm. We've been sitting in our houses looking at them for the longest time. And you know what? Now it's time for us to really let those homes shine. So brass has been kicking it up. We went from like the evolution of like the rose gold, I think, where we were kind of like testing it out. And now people are like, yes, let's go ahead. Let's embrace brass. And I think it was one of those things where honestly, brass kind of got on the fence. I would say, I won't say a bad connotation, but it was an on the fence connotation, where before it was like brass, it was like, ooh, it's like the super shiny 70s that people didn't want. But I think people are now gravitating to the warmer hues as opposed to it just being shiny, shiny, shiny. The brass trend and matte black, when we talk about warmer tones, matte black and brass, I feel like as long as you have those 2 things in your home, you are right on point.
Amazing, amazing. So Erin, tell us your thoughts on this, and also walk us through some of the nice warm tones that you all are offering. I didn't really stop to think that, it could be so chic to have a sink base that is not stark white. It can be a nice cream. So tell us, and we're going to show some visuals, but show us or tell us some of these nice warm tone products that you guys have.
First off, totally agree with Mikkel. Like, this is not the brass that your grandma had in the 70s and 80s. It is softer, warmer, more approachable, earthier, because in fact, what's the underlying curve here, or trend here, is people want to get closer to nature. And getting closer to nature doesn't necessarily always mean bringing in greenery or indoor, outdoor living. It's simply like bringing in material sets that reflect our natural surroundings. So brass is definitely one of those aspects. And again, yeah, we're totally seeing the downtick of those cool grays that used to dominate for over a decade. People want to warm up the space. We call it kind of a cocooning aspect. So one of those simple changes you can make, like you said, is in a lav. You think about what you're going to pair that lav with, and majority of the time, more often than not, people are using a classic marble or quartz proxy. So you think about those Calcutta golds, Carraras, any of your lighter limestones, they all have an off-white base. So when you pair them with a white lav, it's going to be stark and it's going to call it out in not the best way. So a simple change, but a very powerful change, is switching that lav color from white to a dune. And our dune is the softer shade of white. It's very complementary, and it's going to completely blend into those classic countertops. And it's going to make the space look sophisticated. It's going to feel luxurious. It's amazing how these small changes can happen. And then if we jump back to finishes, if brass is too bold for you or a little too much, simply changing chrome to a nickel, something that's a little bit more depth in its finish. It's going to reflect, it can still be cool, but it does have dexterity to work with warmer spaces and those warmer palettes we're seeing brought in. And lastly, I would say French gold. French gold's been around for a while, but it is absolutely stunning to see it in these creamier environments, you know, picking up those hues of the terracottas that we're seeing trending. It's stunning.
Can I just say something really quickly?
Yeah.
I just feel like Erin just gave like one of those Oprah aha like nugget moments. And I had one literally as I was sitting here, I was holding back because I couldn't say anything. But when you said switching that sink basin from white to dune, it makes a world of a difference. It's just like as an interior designer, I know all white paints are not created equally. So the same thing with your sink. So when you said it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it clicked. I got it. Just even listening to you say that. And I think a lot of people need to step outside of that traditional thought that like all sinks are created equal. And they're really not, because not all white paints are created equal. So I think you've got
I don't think I'm gonna be able to look at I'm not gonna be able to look at an apron sink the same ever again. So jumping to the next trend, which Mikkel, you kind of teased a couple minutes ago, we're calling it blending in and standing out. And it's all about matte black. You know, we've been seeing it in appliances and decorative accessories. And now here we are with matte black sinks and faucets. I think this look is incredibly chic. But Erin, you know, sell this one to me if I'm a customer walking into the showroom and I'm seeing this for the first time and I'm kind of blown away or think that maybe it's not for me.
Let's think about it. Black is classic. Black is timeless. But even the classics need to be refreshed. And that's where we come in with the matte black finish. It is an instant classic, but it's fresh and contemporary because it can transcend traditional and modern silhouettes. It's a chameleon. It can create a bold moment within the space if you pair it with black hardware, and you can create a really graphic statement. But it can also be just that moment of pause within a very bold composition. It can be the anchoring color of your palette. And it's the same thing with the fixtures. Just like I said with using dune, you can use black as a complementary color and be very tonal and have it almost fade away, or it can be the statement piece within the composition.
Makes total sense. And I love that you said that it could transcend styles. And this is where I wanted Mikkel to jump in and answer. It obviously looks so good in these contemporary spaces that we're showing, super sleek, super refined. How could we make this in more of a trad way? I mean, I know you said, Erin, that black is classic and, you know, every style can adopt that color, but Mikkel, how would you, you know, maybe to a client, you know, tell them how it could work in a more traditional manner?
So here's the thing, if it's a more traditional home, I would probably lean more towards the brass side, but you can still have the accents of black. I think like you're never going to walk into a kitchen, everything is going to be brass or everything is going to be matte black. So I really think it's the pairing and how you do it. The thing that I like about the pairing of the matte black and the brass is the fact that you have the capability to set the tone in terms of the percentage that you want to go more modern versus more traditional. So I think if you're someone who wants to gravitate towards the more traditional side, but you just want to update it slightly, you can totally do that. Even with like Kohler's tone faucet, for instance, I'll use that as an example. You know, it could be something as subtle as making sure that all of the hardware continues to be that brass finish that's going to lend more towards a traditional home that you would traditionally think of. And again, I think it's really about how we make a home ours. So I think a lot of design rules are kind of like being thrown out of the book, and now we're trying things out. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you know, things become a trend because some designer took a risk. And I think now people are stepping outside of their boxes and they're open to taking more risk. And that's really, I think that's the biggest thing. You can be traditional and take a little bit of risk.
Making it yours and not having to feel like you have to follow a prescribed bucket. And that's where matte black has that surprise element, if you wanted to bring it into a transitional or a traditional composition or style narrative.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think it goes back to creating something that's just for you. You know, I say it all the time, like people shouldn't create spaces for their mom, their dad, their cousins. You're creating a space that is just for you. And I think that's the key with all aspects of design.
Well, perfect to end on this last trend, which is all about making your own mixed metals. So Mikhail, for the record, can we just confirm that you can mix stainless and brass, black and gold? I feel like it's a age-old debate. You know, you cannot mix metals, but why are we so nervous to do this? And please just give us some permission that we can.
You know, and I think the key word that you use right there is permission. I think a lot of times we wait for permission. We wait for Joanna Gaines to tell us it's okay. Well, I'm here to tell you, like, Joanna's amazing. I love her, but it is okay to mix your metals. I think oftentimes people get nervous because they don't have a plan. And I tell my clients and anyone who asks for design advice, just like me, I plan it out, I research it, I look at how other designers have done things and I see what works. So it's a matter of planning and studying. Don't just go out and just buy everything that you see in matte black and brass. You need to plan it out. See why this particular hardware worked with this particular countertop, or why painting, you know, the cabinetry made that hardware work. So I think it's just a matter of planning it out, but you can totally mix metals. I do it all the time. We all do it. I mean, you do it naturally. I mean, most people, when you walk into your house is going to have a stainless steel refrigerator if you see it, but that doesn't mean everything needs to look like the Jetsons. So feel free to switch it up a little bit. You have to.
Oh, phew. I'm glad that we can put that to rest. So Aaron, we have some gorgeous examples of how Kohler is mixing metals, not just in different products, but in a single product, which is pretty cool. So this is definitely a compelling design play. Tell us some combos that could help illustrate this. You know, give us some ideas on execution. I know you guys have two-tone pieces, and then also you have some spaces that we're going to show that just mix metals in really chic ways.
Yeah, so like Mikhail said, mixing metals is a hallmark of a good designer or someone who has a good design sense, because you think about it in fashion, you think about it in your home, you don't want to be monolithic. You want to create depth within the space using the colors, materials, and finishes. So we use that inspiration to create the two-tone finish on our tone. And we combined matte black, so that classic, with brass, and you've got this really high contrast, but really engaging finish combination. Or you have it in a matte black and a chrome, which is a little bit safer and dexterous in its application. But creating a mix and match finish doesn't have to be within the tone collection. We have artifacts, composed components. These are all faucet collections that in a widespread or a wall mount setting, you can mix and match not only the handle styles, but finishes and material sets. So you'll see in our artifacts, we introduced a Nero Marquina handle, and it looks absolutely beautiful with the brass finish. But you can play with finishes within the composition in itself. And that's a really daring move, but it could be a very interesting move to make the handles a matte black and have it fade into a Nero Marquina top and let the spout be a bold color, like a brass or a chrome or a nickel.
Yeah, these examples that we've been showing, I think, are so helpful in envisioning how it can be done. I even love that there's this example of a brass mirror near a chrome or a stainless steel faucet. It's so chic. And I actually think it's perfect for maybe a commitment phobe who can't decide which one they want. You can have both and you'll have a chic space no matter what. But we just covered so much here in such a quick amount of time. I can't wait to see and track these trends in the coming months. But thank you, Erin and Mikkel, for sharing your expertise, and hats off to Kohler for keeping us on our toes and constantly pushing the envelope in the kitchen and bath space. We can't wait to see what you guys do next. So be sure to tune in to some of the other programming that we have for the new statement bathroom. You definitely do not want to miss it. So see you next time, and big thanks to Erin and Mikkel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello and welcome to Design TV by SANDOW. I'm Lisa Bingham Dewart, the magazine's LA, Southern California, and Pacific Northwest Homes editor. And today I'm delighted to be speaking about investing in you, wellness upgrades for the bathroom, which is a hot topic these days since we still are spending so much time at home. Speaking to this topic today, we have two very knowledgeable guests who are going to be sharing some insights. First of all, we have Devin George, who is the general manager of Robern. And we also have Alyssa Wilterdink, who is the senior channel manager at Kohler. So we're delighted to have both of these experts on today to chat about new developments for the bath with a specific focus on wellness. I think we've all been thinking a lot about our mental health and well-being over the last 18 months. So it's a really important topic that we are going to be covering. Before we dig in, though, about some of these really cool things that your companies are offering at the moment, I'd like to start off chatting about some things that you're seeing for this space. And this is something really important to me because I'm actually coming off of a bathroom remodel myself. So I'm in that zone. So obviously for both of us, or for both of you, the last year and a half has changed a lot about how we live and given us a lot of time to think about how we want to live. So with that in mind, what are some of the trends that you're seeing in the bath? If you'd had a crystal ball a year and a half ago, would you have predicted some of these? Alyssa, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think, certainly we're seeing a lot of change. I think what I'd add is we're also seeing just acceleration of trends that we had been watching. So things like, the bathroom as a sanctuary, prioritizing yourself, finding that me time in your day. We've, on our side, been really excitingly watching consumers really lean into some of those things for several years now. I think, as an example, in just their interest in taking baths again, especially among younger consumers. Today, over 70% of consumers are saying that they like or love to take a bath. Among millennials, it's over 80%. So I think, when you think about how much more time now is spent at home and how many roles our homes now host, and, if you've got kids at home, how much chaos sometimes is there, I think that's really just amplified and accelerated some of those things. Just a really well-designed primary bath that you can escape to for privacy, restoration physically, but also mentally.
And Devin, how about you? What are you seeing on your side of things? Are there certain things that you've been kind of spying over the last few years that have amplified or accelerated, or are there some new things that are happening in the space that you're excited about?
Sure. So I think Robern and myself, we've seen two really main things as a result of the pandemic when it comes to trends. And it all has to do with families being home more and really needing more out of their homes. So the first is all about optimizing the space and its functionality. So how you use your space has changed and become so much more important. So some examples might be even outside of the bathroom, a dedicated home office. It's so much more popular today. I know this office I'm in certainly didn't exist 2 years ago. And mudrooms. So mudrooms with sinks are becoming really popular, where before the sink was not common in the mudroom, but people want to come in, wash their hands, and just use that space a little differently than they have before. So as it applies to a bathroom specifically, that's always been a key space in the home, but we really need to optimize our routine to improve our mental health. It's really where you start the day. You start off by going into your bathroom, getting yourself ready for the day. And where you end your day is where you ease into your nightly routine. So it really needs to be a healthy space that enables you to keep mentally healthy, physically healthy in your daily routine. The second trend. So the second trend is all about safety. And that is so important in the home now, that the entire family is there and sharing that space more frequently. So we have been particularly interested in safely storing medications because we learned this shocking fact. So let's see, I have it up on screen. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services tells us that 10.1 million people misuse prescription opioids in just the past year. So after reading that, we did some surveys and learned that through further research, homeowners are looking for additional storage options so that they can keep their families safe as a preventative measure and give themselves more peace of mind.
So Devin, thank you for that overview. And on that note, I wanted to talk about one of Robern's recent products that really speaks to that, which is the IQ Digital Lockbox. So can you kind of walk us through that product and what it means in the bath space?
Sure. So the IQ Digital Lockbox is a new product from Robern that really lets homeowners keep personal items like prescription drugs safely stored in their medicine cabinets. So it mounts securely into most of our medicine cabinets and is designed to really just disappear into the cabinet. It's very seamless and unobtrusive. So to go along with this digital lockbox, we've also developed an app that connects to it via Wi-Fi. And that's really what's so amazing about this product is it gives the homeowner full visibility to all lockbox activity, when it's open, when it's closed, when it's tampered with. So you can really monitor and log all activity and even schedule events and get reminders to take medications. I know that I could go 2 days without taking a daily medication without some sort of reminder. So it really helps there. The app really does provide peace of mind to any household where there's prescription drugs because they could really get into the wrong hands and unfortunately misused. A few more things at the lockbox that I'll just mention. It can be opened at the cabinet with a keypad. It can be opened via your smartphone, or if needed, you never want to not be able to get to those medications you may need. There's actual a mechanical backup key you can open it with as well. So we're really excited about the new product and really think any home would benefit from it.
That's awesome. And I love that there's sort of the fail-safe that you have with the backup key, just in case the power goes out or something and you're stuck. So yeah, so that's pretty exciting. And I know that I was actually just reading recently that medicine cabinets are sort of having a renaissance, and people are thinking about those more in the home as opposed to in times past. So that was an interesting detail that I recently learned. And then you have one other really fun thing, a little less about safety and peace of mind, but more just like creating a mood. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the tunable light, just because in the bathroom, lighting is really critical. I mean, for everything, you might want to have lower light to ease into your day and ease out of your day, or really good bright light for your kind of morning getting ready routine. So can you talk us through what the tunable light means for us?
Sure. So as you mentioned, lighting is definitely one of the most important elements, but often overlooked in bathroom design. So the placement, the brightness, and in particular the color temperature, it helps you create an atmosphere that can stimulate your senses and also really just show your bathroom in its best light. You just remodeled your bathroom. I'm sure you want to show off all those gorgeous finishes you've chosen. Not to mention, you want to look great. right? You want to start your day and just feel good about yourself. So adjusting the color temperature, or specifically the warmth of light, lets you shift the mood and improve your daily routine or well-being. So cooler light can be used to create a more stimulating or energizing space. It's perfect for tweezing or shaving. So I personally use cooler light in the morning before I go into the office, because office light is often very cool and I want to see what I'm going to look like in the office. And maybe on the weekend before going to my son's soccer game, I also want to use the cooler light, because cool light actually simulates the light from the sun. So again, I can simulate what I'm going to look like before I go to my daily activity. In the evening, I like warmer light. So that's because it creates a warmer, relaxing spa-like environment, and that can really help me ease into my nightly routine. So by controlling that brightness and color temperature, I really can improve my day ahead or my night's sleep. And I guess with that tunable light and the need for tunable light, Robern has introduced a new product called Tune Technology. So it's technology that enables you to adjust the brightness or the color temperature of your light with really beautiful on-product touch controls. So they're on our Uplift Tech medicine cabinet, and they allow you to choose personalized settings that you've created, or we've also pre-programmed them with the most popular settings.
So Alyssa, we've heard about some safety features that Robern offers and some really great developments around lighting. Kohler has some amazing developments around bathing and showering, which are really kind of turning our sort of compressed, life schedules into, meaningful moments, which I think is so great. And we can take them where we can get them and really hold on to them. So the heated bubble massage, I thought sounded amazing and has some really amazing additional features. So can you walk us through all of the ins and outs of this kind of crazy cool product?
Yeah, of course. I mean, our story started with baths. So I think naturally it's a category that means a lot to us, and is a category that, like some others, we really pour into to make sure that we're bringing absolute best experiences to market. So I think, if you're a bather, or if not, you might become one after hearing a bit more about this. Hydrotherapies are really the ticket to a really restorative bathing experience. So at Kohler, we have 4 different hydrotherapies, ranging from, things focused on revitalization, whirlpool or heated bubble massage, to just sort of blissful relaxation with some therapies we call effervescence and vibroacoustic. So you mentioned heated bubble massage. That's our newest of the 4. It solves a problem that 8 out of 10 consumers surface as a strong deterrent to bathing, and that's just the cooling of the water. If you put in time to go ahead and take a bath, that sensation you get when you first enter and the warmth is something that you want to extend. So heated bubble massage, is certainly a lever to help do that. So with that hydrotherapy, there's air jets in the bath that are releasing thousands of heated bubbles for a really invigorating full body massage. So the system is actually using humidified air to apply heat really in 2 different ways. So first, the bubbles themselves are coming into the bath and physically warming your skin as they touch you. And then kind of secondary benefit is as they then disperse into the water, they're hoping to keep the water that you're in warmer for longer. So it's a really great experience, and certainly helps to extend sort of your time in the bath. We like to say that any of our hydrotherapies that use bubbles make you feel like you're sort of like sitting in a glass of champagne, which is really, really delightful, especially when you think about that experience having this added layer of just heat that's sort of continuing the experience. So you can take advantage of heated bubble massage or other therapies, kind of mixing and matching the ones that are really going to make the most sense for you, across, available across really a wide variety of styles, sizes, and even installation types, depending on what's best in your space.
Thank you so much. That's fantastic. And then another great Kohler product that I want to share with everyone is the DTV Plus system. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. You know, the number one attribute that consumers tell us they're after when they're sort of embarking on a new project is they want their bathroom to feel like a spa. And I think, you know, that's where DTV Plus comes in and really just expertly delivers on something that, you know, nearly everyone is looking for. So it's really, you know, the best in class showering system. It brings together, you know, 4 really critical elements: water, steam, lighting, and music. And really, as the owner, you've got the ability to sort of personalize which of those experiences will be most meaningful for you, and to sort of arrange the outlets accordingly. So you choose the functionality you want with each outlet, kind of mixing those different elements together. And then from a control perspective, you know, through settings in the physical remote, or, you know, more recently through our Kohler Connect app, you've got the ability just right at your fingertips to really kind of personalize the perfect showering experience for you, and others in the space can do the same, just to really elevate that experience. So DTV Plus is outstanding. If you're not quite ready to dive, you know, fully into that system, we've got other digital showering platforms too. DTV Prompt is sort of our entry-level solution for digital showering. And then there's also DTV Mode. So both really exist to just elevate that everyday showering experience with intuitive controls, and just an ease of experience, and an experience that's really personalized to exactly the way you'd want your shower to be. So all 3, you know, are amazing. And, you know, if I might just add, for anyone who's about to start a project, or just embarking on it now, you know, we have a brand new showering platform that is outstanding in aesthetics, functionality, the experience it's going to bring, and that's set to hit the market right at the turn of the year. So I think that's really just going to bolster the breadth of solutions available from Kohler, from, you know, the digital showering platforms and beyond, to just really help you achieve that spa-like experience right at home.
That's amazing. I mean, now I'm like regretting that we already remodeled our bathroom. We have other bathrooms. Maybe we'll have to do another one soon, to get to incorporate some of these amazing new products. So I wanted to thank you both for being here, Alyssa and Devin. It was a pleasure to kind of get the inside scoop on what you have out there right now and what's coming up. So thank you so much again, and thank you everyone for joining us on DesignTV. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Hi there, I'm Kathryn Given, Senior Style and Market Editor at Luxe Interiors and Design. Thanks for tuning into the new Statement Bathroom Takeover on DesignTV, where today we are talking all things tile, and specifically how it can completely transform a space. I love the world of tile. It's one of my favorite markets to cover, and no one does it better than Ann Sachs, right? So I am thrilled to be joined by Arabella Doyle, Marketing Director for Ann Sachs. Hi, Arabella.
Hey, Kathryn.
As well as a designer that I greatly admire, Laura Umansky, founder and CEO of Laura U Design Collective. Hi, Laura.
Hi, thanks for hosting me.
So something that I know we really want to discuss today is how there's sort of been this shift, right, in using tile beyond the kitchen, beyond the bathroom, into other areas of the home, right, like mudrooms, storage spaces, laundry rooms, even on staircases. And it's fun because, you know, designers and homeowners, I feel like they're mixing it up. And it can kind of be this unexpected moment in design, right? Tile really makes a statement. So Arabella, I know you've been, you know, entrenched in the world of tile and Ann Sachs for some time. So I'd love, you know, to hear what you're seeing when it comes to how tile's being used in the home.
Yeah, I mean, when I joined Anne Sachs, definitely it was, we were seeing sort of tile in the more traditional places of a backsplash or a primary bathroom. And since, in the last sort of few years, we're seeing it pop up everywhere. From, I mean, one of my favorite places was Luxe Interiors, to this amazing staircase that has like the risers are tiled. So it's that really unexpected moment. Or through, a really beautiful entryway that we're really seeing people like trying to make a statement with their personality right from that moment, that get-go. So there's a really beautiful Cape Marco project that has Benton in the entryway, and it's a relatively smaller space, but it really has that sort of wow factor.
Oh, beautiful. So I'm curious, I feel like we can kind of guess, but why do you think, these shifts are happening into these other spaces of the home?
I mean, I think, the past sort of few years, we've really seen, or the past year and a bit, we've really seen how the home has to do so much more than it's ever had to do. It's, it's a space that we are literally living and breathing in all the time. And as a result, I think people really want to have it reflect more of them. And I think, with tile being the sort of jewelry, I always like to say, of the home, that is ultimately their personal statement coming through. And so they're allowing themselves to think beyond just the white subway tile into more of these areas of different textures or patterns. And obviously that's something that at Anne Sachs we have a plethora of.
Yeah, that's a great point. And because I think of, obviously tile is so decorative, as you said, it really makes a statement, but it's also really practical, when it comes to cleanliness, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I mean, I think, hard surfaces are so much easier to clean. And then as, we're so much more aware of having that need. And I think that's why, we are seeing tile coming out of these other spaces into, playrooms or living spaces. I've even seen people tiling, bedrooms.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
So it's, I think the ease of it, as well as that sort of design statement, it's really coming into its own, which is fantastic.
So Laura, I'm such a fan of your designs. They're so beautiful, they're smart, they're functional, forward thinking. But before we sort of jump in and look at a few of your specific spaces, do you mind just generally telling us how you approach tile, when you're working on a project, especially in some of these, maybe more unusual spaces now?
Our firm is really grounded in this philosophy of being light, bright, bold, and contrasting. And so we can do that in so many ways, and especially in recent years with tile. And so you'll see with some of our images that we really go for it. Like, we're not afraid. And so I love that statement moment behind a powder room sink. But also, like Arabella was saying, in a playroom, we're using really fun pieces in like a family management center. So, which is, for all intents and purposes, like a little study, and we're using that as backsplash or on the floor there. So I think we really approach it first in our projects. I'm thinking in order of sequence. Yeah, I think definitely tile is going to come up first for me.
Tile forward. I like that. So I want to dive into some of your
tile forward.
Right. Yeah. This Green Tree project in Houston, Texas, I believe, has a lot of tile eye candy. Can you talk to us about some of these spaces?
Yes, and we went a little Anne Sachs crazy in this house because it's a mid-century modern with a contemporary bent, but it is mid-century modern. And so we found that the modern field tile, the made by Anne Sachs, really was perfect for several of the key spaces in this home. Plus, it's this gorgeous tile with all of these different raised areas, and the glazing is beautiful. So it was really versatile for us too.
So clearly, you kind of have this unique approach when it comes to color and pattern, right? So I want to hear a little bit how that translates, into the tile you choose. You're kind of making this bold statement, right? Sometimes when it comes to tile and color and pattern.
Yeah, I love playing with scale. So, and that can be really fun. So something that you would think is made for a tiny tile, we may go big scale. So I think that is really challenging just preconceived notions of what should happen in a space you're going to use tile. And alternatively, we'll use a tiny little pattern. Like I'm renovating my daughter's bathroom. and it is going to be head to toe, 1 by 1 mosaic. So I'm super excited about that.
Ooh, I can't wait to see that. Is that colorful too?
It is. It's the Ansax context tile in the 1 by 1, and it's spa is the color, and it's this really gorgeous muted blue, very serene, which my 9-year-olds need.
So just like a side note, I feel like, you know, whites are always going to be like the bread and butter, right, of tile. But, you know, like what colors are you sort of gravitating towards now? Are you blues, greens? I feel like you kind of have this gutsy approach, but is there anything that you sort of see, I don't know, trending or something that you're kind of, it's on your wish list color wise?
Definitely warmer whites. So we're gravitating away from that really cool, sterile white tile. So we're going warmer. So sham beige. I love that kind of like champagne meets beige color. So again, it's really flexible and you can use it with a lot of different interiors. Our clients love blue. So we do a lot of blue. Green has definitely shown up quite a bit recently. Not as often as blue, though. It's not as approachable, I don't think, especially when it comes to committing to a tile.
It's my favorite color, though. So,
you know, strangely, me too. I know I love green, but yeah, I think probably just warmer whites, warmer grays, going away from that cool, sterile.
Okay, good to hear. So are you still into terrazzo as much as I am? I feel like it's still here. I love it. I want to do like a kitchen in it, a bathroom. You too?
I live for terrazzo. I think it's amazing. I walked into this home that a client's considering renovating the other day, and they had terrazzo that had been there for 30 years. And I was like, we're keeping that, we're blowing out everything else. But Ansax has terrazzo in this colorway. Like, again, it's this warmer white and it's called Brulee, and I'm obsessed.
So what else are you using? I know like Made is a go-to for you, right?
Yes, Made finds a home pretty much in all of our projects. Context, gorgeous, really versatile, love using that. Savoy is new and has a lot of cool patterns. So I'm dying to use that. We've spec'd it on a project. It has not been installed yet, but it will be.
Ooh, fun. Okay.
And of course the terrazzo, like we already talked about.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because I think Ansax, they have like a darker, you know, colorway. I feel like it's almost black, right, Arabella?
Yeah, we've got the black and white terrazzo. We've also got a gray, we've got a white, and we have an aubergine. So yeah, we have terrazzo in many different ways. And also we have the fluted terrazzo as well, which has been huge success. We launched the white last year, and then the one that Laura mentioned earlier is the one that she's putting in her bathroom.
Yep, my primary bathroom. Yeah. The Brulee and the fluted is fantastic.
Yeah, the fluted,
the installer,
like another level.
The installer unboxed it and was like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And you know, it's a big deal when the installer is like, they always try to play it cool.
So Laura, I'm kind of curious to get your take on how location as well as use of the home really affects, you know, product and tile choices. You know, at Luxe, it's sort of in our DNA. We know that, you know, a sunny SoCal home is going to be used, you know, much differently by homeowners than, let's say, like a Chicago penthouse or a second ski home in, you know, Colorado. But can you tell us a little bit about how, you know, you approach location and functionality, you know, when it comes to a home and sort of the tile that you're using?
Yeah, so most of our clients are young families. So the tile that we're specifying is going to need to be resilient, obviously, for using it on the floor. And we pick our points for using specialty tiles like Beaumont, for example, we use on a wall because it's a mosaic and it's beautiful and it's customizable, but we want to keep that away from your 3-year-old. And it is site specific, geographically specific. So Colorado and the mountains has a very different style than Houston and River Oaks, for example. So yeah, I do think that stylistically we're influenced by the geography and also by the client. We're so client centric. We do not push our design aesthetic on anyone. We want to get to know them, their lifestyle, what their needs are with tile and with every other finish before we even go to the drawing board.
So a recent collection that I am really loving is Koros. Can you tell us about that, Arabella?
Yeah, no, we've definitely seen a real sort of increase in people asking for mosaics. And so this is a really beautiful stone micro mosaic that we've introduced this year, and we've got amazing feedback from it. It's just like the designs are just beautiful.
Laura, you're using it, right?
Yes, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that is incredible. It looks like a textile almost, like that micro mosaic looks like it's woven. It's really incredible.
Yeah, it's a really interesting technique, I believe, that they've used in order to get that sort of look and feel.
So, just to wrap it up, as you mentioned, you're working on building, a new home, right, for you and your family in Aspen, Colorado.
I am in Snowmass Village. Yep.
Oh, lucky you. Well, I can't wait to see shots and images, when that's complete. But can you tell us a little bit, about some of the tile choices, you're going with?
Sure. So I mentioned earlier that my daughter's bathroom, I have 9-year-old twin girls, and I wouldn't do Beaumont for them either. So we are doing context all over. I mean, walls, floors, shower surround, tub surround, everything. So it is going to be quite the statement. Even though it's going to feel neutral and monolithic, it's still going to be pretty over the top, I think, just because there's so much of it, and it's the 1x1 mosaics. We're doing a dog shower, which is also a really fun place to play with tile. And so on the walls in that space, we are doing the Savoy, and then the shower floor and the floors is a really cool little penny round. So that'll be a pretty dynamic space too. And then the master, we are going to go crazy with the terrazzo and the brulee.
Oh, I cannot wait to see that. And what's interesting too is, you're obviously using this all year, right? So in the winter, you guys are
yes, we live here.
And in the summer, you're hiking, right?
That's right. Yeah. So it functions year round. It's perfect. And honestly, all of these collections, I feel, could translate just as easily from a mountain home to, like you were saying, LA or, Southern California. I don't think any of them would be out of place or feel not at home in either location. So
that's a great.
I feel good about that. I feel like we could pick it up and move it.
Well, I'm going to stay tuned for that. And, Laura and Arabella, thank you guys so much for joining us, discuss tile and the shifts we're seeing, right now in the marketplace. It's interesting, to think of this whole new world of tile beyond the kitchen, beyond the bath. And I can't wait to see what Ann Sachs continues to come up with. And, Laura, how you spin tile in your projects. So thank you both. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for tuning into this special segment that's a part of the new Statement Bathroom Takeover on DesignTV. My name is Sarah Shelton, and I am the market editor at Luxe Interiors Design. I'm thrilled to be joined by designer Laura Carrar, who is going to walk us through the relaunch of the elegant Paletta brassware collection that she has so meticulously designed with Kallista. Hello, Laura, and thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to have you, and we are especially thrilled to see this collection is back with some very fun updates.
It's great to see you, and it's really great to be talking to everyone.
Before we dig into the product, I just want to brag on your background a little bit for those who may not be familiar with you, but Laura is a designer in every sense of the word. Not only is she an internationally renowned interior designer with projects spanning from high-end residences to award-winning commercial spaces and restaurants and hotels, but Laura is also a passionate product designer, as we will all see firsthand very shortly. Laura graduated from the Art Institute of Chicago with a degree in sculpture and interior
interior architecture and calls Mexico home, where she is currently now, where you have this beautiful background, Laura at home, which we're going to dig into a little bit. I know it's an influence for you, so we're excited to touch on that. But we have a lot to cover, so we're going to just dive right in if that's okay. So we're all here to talk about Paletta. I would love to hear your take on the collection. It launched originally in 2016, and it remains in hot demand in the bath world. They say it all starts with a name. And Laura, I'm wondering if you could tell us why you chose this beautiful word, and also just kind of what makes this collection so special in general.
The idea behind Paletta really came from a sense of perception about how I design, and I think how the best designers design. We're really artists, you know, we really approach our spaces in a way where we're creating a whole environment. And so I wanted to create something that really spoke to designers and gave them the opportunity to paint, you know, to play a little bit, to create something artistic. And so Paletta really grew out of the idea of a palette, like an artist's palette, and thinking about the fact that that the hardware, the faucetry, these collections are kind of like the jewelry in a space. And so it really grew out of providing a palette of playfulness, of artistry for designers to use in a room.
I love that analogy because I know you are an artist yourself, and we're going to touch on some of your sketches in a moment. But speaking of the artistry, I mean, these pieces are, it's so obvious the handmade artisanal vibe that are in these pieces, and I have yet to feel this in person. I cannot wait to get into a showroom and touch them. But you know, faucetry is something that you touch every single day, and you know, you're turning on a faucet, you're turning on the shower, and you know, I imagine that feeling of touching that is pretty important since it is felt every single day. And having designed it and felt it, like what does it feel like? And that organic texture, is it somehow grounding or memorable, like when you touch that?
I did think about that a lot. I think it is my artist background. I really focused mainly on sculpture, which eventually led me to furniture design and product design. And the approach in designing this collection was really not just visual. You know, it's not just about what something looks like, but it's about how it feels and how it feels in your hand, particularly when you're designing hardware or things for the bath. And I don't know about you, but right before I get my coffee, I wash my face. And so sometimes that Paletta handle is the very first thing I come in contact with in the morning, you know? And so what you want is something that's substantial and, as you said, something grounding and something, you know, something that just feels like, you know, luxury in a way. And so I think that was a lot of what I was thinking about with the scale and the finishes and the texture of the piece. And I think people agree with that as well. That's one of the reasons I think it's been so popular, is that it's maybe something that people don't define. It's just something that's very intuitive. They don't know why they like it, but I think that's the touch element.
Absolutely. And aside from touch, you know, what's exciting is that this collection is now updated so that these products are available in unlacquered brass, chrome, and a new polished nickel and PVD finish. So aside from feeling beautiful, they of course look beautiful, and they are that jewelry in the room. I think it's always so fascinating to talk about finishes and materials. So I would love to have some insight as to why these finishes were selected, especially unlacquered brass. I know brass is like extra hot, and I would love to know your take on why unlacquered this time around.
I've always been a fan of brass, like, you know, way back, maybe when it wasn't so popular, but I saw the I saw the sort of authenticity in it, you know, and especially when something's not coated and it is allowed to patina with use. For me, there's again this internal reference to sculpture, to you know, beautiful bronze sculptures that, you can see that have been handled, or old hardware over time, they have high points and low points from the touch of the hand. And so there's something about longevity and, again, authenticity that really, plays a part in the selection of unlacquered finishes. And, and the look of it is so modern that I think there's a little bit of a balance between this modernity that it has and this kind of finish that allows it to age, and allows it to evolve. So, and that's, again, I think something that resonates with people, that they've really enjoyed that. I think that there are different finishes for different people, different designers, different projects, and something to patinas is not always the thing that a designer wants. The new PVD finishes are really important because the piece never changes. It retains that beauty that it has the day you bought it. And so that's also, I think, just a really important point about Paletta being, I think, a palette of choice, a palette of finish for people to choose from.
So Laura, I would love to learn a little bit more about your design process with your, sculpture background, with your art background. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about your design process and how it starts and how you get from, the beginning to the end.
I think there was a time when that I was just constantly sketching and constantly generating ideas, even if I didn't know they had a purpose or a home. And I'm now at the point in the evolution of my business and career where I'm pretty busy all the time. So it does almost seem like I'm creating something, and it always has an intention at this point. I mean, it starts with the design brief, and then I think to do a successful collection, it's really both left brain and right brain, because it's really about the things that are exciting to you, the things that spark your creativity. And, nature is that a lot for me, but it can come from fashion. It can come from, an incredible painting that I saw at a museum. It can come from my travels. The other side of it is really knowing the market, being a designer and designing for real people and real companies, and knowing what people are looking for, and also what's missing in the marketplace. So it's really the merging of those two things. It's a very intuitive with a very business-minded approach.
So we're lucky that we have some of your sketches that you made yourself when it came time for Paletta. And I would love to know, was there an actual organic form that influenced the beautiful texture we see on these pieces? And if there was, what was that?
I think it was the merging of a couple different things. Because I've been spending, well, now we're probably going on 20 years of me spending at least part of my time in Mexico in a tropical climate. I've been very influenced by gardens, by palm trees, by leaves, and also by birds, also by, just sort of the nature around me. And so this allusion to something organic, the decoration or the knurling or etching that's on the Paletta handle really kind of came out of looking at those natural forms, the sort of spine and splines of feathers, of leaves. And I think, intentionally, we didn't want it to represent one thing, because I think the best design and the best art communicates to a lot of different people. It has to speak to you, I think, for you to become passionate about it. And I think a product that has longevity speaks to a lot of people, a lot of different cultures. So we wanted to reference many different things. And but that's sort of where that decoration from Paletta came from. And specifically, we call that the pinna, which is really, again, referencing feathers.
I'm curious, it's so interesting to see how, a designer would approach designing a bathroom space. And I love the analogy of jewelry faucetry being like jewelry for the room. And I'm curious, when you design, and maybe it's different each time, when you approach a bathroom space, do you tend to start with, the faucetry or the hardware, or?
Well, I mean, I have to say that I try to use my collections as much as I possibly can. So that's always in the back of my mind.
Mhm.
And it's sort of interesting because I don't think that I have any projects that feel like repeats of another project. I have some clients who I've done 4 and 5 houses for, and every single one is a little bit different. And I think it's based somewhat on sometimes it's a restoration, so it's the existing architecture, or sometimes I'm very influenced by the location of the project. And some are very traditional and some are very modern. And I think that's actually one of the amazing things about the Paletta collection and these finishes is that, if I'm doing a very minimalist and modern space, the Paletta Pure is perfect for that, or even the Paletta Pinna, but with perhaps a PVD finish, so it's not going to change. I happen to be still working on my own hacienda project, and that building dates back to the late 1600s, early 1700s, and in that my own project, I'm using both Paletta and bare steel, but I'm using the Paletta with the brass, unlacquered brass finish. And I think, it's okay to put that, I think, very modern, very, very clean lined form in that project. But the thing that kind of bridges the 17th century to today is that ability for that finish to patina and to change. So I'm really excited to see how that will turn out.
This collection is so unique because it is, it is modern, it is organic, it looks to the past, looks to the future. So for those who haven't checked it out, I hope you're running to, your search engine to go look at the images, and of course, enjoy these images that we've been sharing here today. But Laura, thank you so much for walking us through the collection and to hear from you yourself on, how it was made and what inspired, these beautiful pieces is always such a treat. So thank you so much. And we can't wait to see what you have up your sleeve next.
Thank you, Sarah. It was really my pleasure.
Hi there, I'm Kathryn Given, Senior Style and Market Editor at Luxe Interiors and Design. I am so excited to be joined by Shawn Booth, the Director of Kohler North America's Design Studio, for the new Statement Bathroom Takeover, to discuss, drumroll please, toilets. But not just any toilet, we are talking about the launch of the first of its kind Avoir tankless one-piece toilet, which I now need in my own bathroom. So guys, get ready for some potty talk. But in all seriousness, thanks so much for being here, Shawn.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So, before we dive into what makes this toilet so special, I'm hoping you can just provide a little bit of an education, on what tankless means, on what one piece means. I feel like it might be helpful, at least for me, to get a little bit of background, on toilets and really what makes this one so innovative.
Yeah, absolutely. So a two-piece toilet is what most people have in their homes, what we're most familiar with. The two pieces refer to the tank and the bowl. They're manufactured separately, and then they get installed and attached during the installation. And of course, the tank holds the water that flushes the toilet, and it's gravity that provides the energy source for that flush. A one-piece toilet is essentially the same. The difference is the tank and the bowl are manufactured as one piece together, and that's the way they come. So it's one seamless product. a seamless aesthetic, an easier to clean toilet. So it's clearly an upgrade from a two-piece to a one-piece. And then, you know, recently, until recently, if you wanted to upgrade beyond a one-piece toilet, you were really talking about intelligent toilets. So we call them intelligent toilets because they have smart features. The key feature being a bidet function, personal cleansing, personal hygiene benefit there. So, and then it goes all the way up to smart home integration and smart home features and things like that. But an intelligent toilet is a tankless toilet.
Okay.
It requires an outlet and a power cord to power the features and to power the flush. Because there is no tank, it requires a mechanically powered flush to work. So we saw an opportunity, because not everyone wants all of those features in an intelligent toilet.
Right.
And the price point that comes with it, and the complexity of requiring a power cord. I am an advocate for intelligent toilets. I think that there's something that more people should have in their lives. And when people experience them, they don't want to go back. I think it's, you know, the benefits are pretty profound, but, you know, like I said, not everybody wants all the features, the price point, the electrical supply requirement in every room in the house in particular. So that's where we saw a nice opportunity with the Avoir toilet to provide a tankless toilet that doesn't require power,
right,
or an electrical outlet. And that's not only the opportunity, but it was the challenge. So we had to figure out how to flush a toilet without a tank or a power cord to make that flush happen. And so the good news is, without going into too much technical detail, we did figure out how to do it. Not only flush it well, but create a flush that's really quite advanced and better than we've had in the past. So it continues to use gravity to flush the toilet. But what we're doing is we're adding power from the water supply in your home, from that water pressure you get just that runs the plumbing in your home. So we direct that water pressure into what we call the quad jet. And it's that quad jet that's really that innovation that powers this toilet. So it combines that water pressure with air, actually, to create a really powerful initiation of the flush, and and then gravity takes over the rest. And so it uses the same amount of water as a normal toilet. It's still using gravity. It just has that little extra oomph from the water pressure. And then to go into a little bit more detail about the flushing experience that you get as a result, it really, a typical toilet, you're going to get a bowl wash of a couple of seconds. And with this flush, we feed the rim jet with water directly from your home, and it runs and washes the bowl for multiple times longer than any typical toilet. So what you get is a remarkably cleaner flushing experience. You get a toilet without a tank. So you get that aesthetic and a better overall experience without having to step all the way up to an intelligent toilet.
Well, I wanted to touch on aesthetics because we all know that homeowners are really investing in their bathrooms, right, Sean? They want, the top of the line when it comes to functionality and design. So talk to us a little bit more, if you can, just, about the design and really how streamlined the Avoir looks, right?
Yeah, so I think, we were really creating a new to the world type of toilet. So we wanted to create an aesthetic that would work in a variety of bathrooms. And I think we really took a literal definition of the term minimal and tried to make a toilet that was as minimal as possible in multiple ways. So we tried to make as small a footprint as we could to take up less space. We tried to make the form minimal to be easy to clean, to be visually unobtrusive. and just easy to work around in an interior space, whether you're designing a bathroom around this toilet or you're simply adding this toilet to an existing bathroom. I think it's really easy to work with. So really simplicity was the key there. But I think it makes a statement because it doesn't look like a typical toilet. And we were really looking for inspiration beyond the world of plumbing fixtures and kitchen and bath, and looking to other areas of the home for aesthetic cues.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished. It really is. It's so nice looking. But I wanna also mention, functionality is key in the bathroom, right? We all know that. And you briefly touched on some of these, innovations and features for the Avoir, but is there anything else, you want to tell us about the technology or some interesting features? I feel like I heard things like ready lock, installation, and sort of powered flush valve, but tell us a little bit more about some of these things, Sean.
Yeah, I think for one thing, it's really easy to get into your home. So it's easy to install. We use the Ready Lock system, which is the system that we use on every skirted toilet that we have today, or almost every, I should say. It's widely used in the industry and preferred by installers, and it's really practically foolproof. So I could take out my existing toilet and put it in an Avoir toilet in just a few minutes without having to have any contractors do any work. I don't have to drill into the floor. I simply attach the Ready Lock system as I would any standard toilet. And then when I place the toilet over the top, I tighten it from the sides, and it really locks down into place. Very secure, very easy. Minimal disruption to your life or to a project. So the Ready Lock installation is a real advantage. And like I said earlier, there's no requirement for electricity, so you're good to go. It does use a couple of batteries to 4 AA batteries to run the actuation button. So the side of the toilet has a flush actuation button that's designed to be really easy to clean. And then as an accessory, we have an option, which is a remote flush actuation, or remote control, essentially. And I think that's a really important part of the overall experience. You can install that anywhere you want to make it the easiest to reach, the easiest to use. And it may seem like a small thing to make a flush actuator a little bit more convenient, but something that you do every day, repeatedly, to be made a little bit easier really is quite a benefit. And then for a lot of us, it's just about convenience, but to some people, they have to do less bending, reaching, twisting, and those things can be more difficult for some, or even by not having to do those things, we do provide an element of safety for people who may have less mobility or less balance and things like that. So that being able to place that remote actuator, flush actuator, where it's most convenient, I think is a huge benefit for any toilet or toileting experience. The Avoir toilet is designed to be comfort height, so that makes it easier to get on and off for people of variety of sizes and abilities. And it also makes it ADA compatible. So it's going to work for a variety of installation requirements, bathroom requirements, and a variety of user needs as well. And it's really, the Avoir toilet, we were really looking to design cues outside of the typical bathroom space. So we were really looking at furniture for inspiration and other areas of the home. So, we're still working with the ceramic material set here, because it is such a hygienic material that performs really well. But from a form standpoint, we were looking to furniture that you might find elsewhere in the home as an inspiration source, and really taking the advantage of not having to have a tank on top of a toilet like we typically do, to look at other form opportunities. And then we designed some of the function right into the aesthetic cues. So the toilet lid itself, the shape is designed to be easy to open and close. And of course, it's got a slow close lid, so it won't slam, and it has an elegant closing action to it, which is beautiful in and of itself. And then just little details. So the metallic hinge, which is something that we had to invent for this toilet to enable the shape of the lid and get that minimalist aesthetic that we have on the outside. And the other thing that I love about this toilet is the comfort. I mentioned it's comfort height, but we've taken some of our knowledge and insights and lots of human factors development to create a seat that is as comfortable as any other toilet seat that we have in the market. So we're bringing form, function, and aesthetics together, I think, in a really elegant solution with this toilet.
That's a great point. I feel like this is really the future of toilets, right? And let's face it, as you said, as we spend more time at home, we want to make sure, spaces like bathrooms really feel kind of like sanctuaries or retreats in a way, right? And we want to make sure we surround ourselves with things that kind of contribute to our well-being. So I think you touched on this briefly, but from a cleanliness angle, can you tell us a little bit about what makes Avoir so special?
Yeah, I think, it starts with what we refer to as clean geometry. So it's a fully skirted toilet. It's one continuous shape all the way around. It's really easy to clean. And that's the outside. And then when you do something like the remote flush actuator, you can place that in a more hygienic place too. So you're not having to worry about transfer of germs from person to person. And then at the heart of the toilet is the performance. So, I think here we have some of the most advanced flushing performance of any toilet. And like I said earlier, the flushing, the part of the flush that rinses the bowl with the rim jet just goes on and on and on, and it really gets the bowl cleaner than just about any flush that I've ever seen. So really clean inside and out.
Wow. Okay. Lots of pretty amazing features here. And I just want to, when we're talking about, the future of bathrooms, just quickly, from a Kohler perspective, are you really seeing this category, bathroom products in general, whether that be toilets or fittings, fixtures, these are all just taking off, right? And really in high demand right now as people are sort of spending, time and money and investing in their home and their bathrooms, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've really seen an increased interest in not only kitchen and bath products because people are spending more time in their homes, but hygiene, personal hygiene, and just protecting yourself and your family from germs are top of mind. And we know people are more interested in products that stay cleaner longer, and they're willing to pay more for products that do so. So it shows what the demand is for clean and hygiene. But then, as you said, the bathroom it's a sanctuary. It's a place where people are going to spend time, and we're really seeing an interest in people making the most of their space and investing in their homes, kitchen and bathrooms included.
Well, Sean, thank you so much for chatting, about Kohler's new Avoir toilet. It's pretty amazing, kind of blown away. You told us what makes it the best of the best, so innovative. I kind of feel like a toilet pro now. You kind of gave me a 101, and I found this very interesting. And thanks again. And to our viewers, stay tuned for what's coming up on DesignTV. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.